Well, I think I'll go ahead and begin. Good evening to everyone. My name's Kathy Wesley, and I am your host and moderator for this evening's question and answer session for the Dharma Paths program on Introduction to Buddhism. So you've had several weeks of class, and you've gotten to hear from some of the teachers at KTD and hear about the Introduction to Buddhism courses on meditation, as well as the course on the life of the Buddha, the Four Noble Truths, and so on. And so we thought that it would be a good opportunity to pause here after several classes have been given, to give you the opportunity to ask questions of our teachers. So we have several of the teachers of the class here this evening, and I want to thank all of you for being here this evening. I see that we have, let's see if I can see everybody. I can't see everyone who's in the group, but I want to thank Lama Losang and Lama Drodhul, Lama Tom, Lama Mark, and everyone for being here this evening to hear your questions. And this evening, we're going to do things slightly differently than usual because instead of having translation rooms, we will have the translators in the same room with us as we ask questions. And so the way the questions will be asked is we're going to ask you to type your questions into chat. If you are typing Chinese language questions or Spanish language questions, feel free to do that. And we will have the translators translate them for us here live on the group meeting. And then, if with luck, if everything goes well, we'll call on the various teachers to answer your questions. And for the 90 minutes that we're going to be together this evening, I welcome you to write your questions in chat. You can even start writing them now if you want to. If you have questions, for example, if you have a question about the class on the life of the Buddha, you can just type life of the Buddha and then ask your question. Or if you are just asking a general question, you can just say general question, and then we'll see if we can call on the various teachers to give answers. Let's see. I think rather than start with our usual series of prayers, I'll just start by asking everyone to hold in your heart the refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and generate the Bodhisattva motivation to benefit all sentient beings. And hopefully our questions and answers will be of use to you in your studies. So with that, let's see if there are any questions in chat. And if there are no questions in chat, we may just meditate. Let's see if there are any questions appearing.
No questions so far.
No questions appearing? Okay. Then perhaps we should just sit for a minute. Okay, here we go. Now we have a question. All right. Our first question is coming from Pat. The question is, how and why did Buddhism separate from its Indian roots? Okay, how and why did Buddhism separate from its Indian roots? It looks to me like I'm going to see if Lama Karma, would you like to take the lead on this question?
Hi, Lama. Yeah, this is do I understand the question of why, how, and why did Buddhism separate from its Indian roots? Can you explain simple why would you say I'm not so
well
clear.
I'm not Pat, but let's see if I can understand. It says how and why did they separate? So I'm wondering if Pat's question isn't how did Buddhism travel from India to other parts of the world? That might be the meaning of Pat's question, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's try and answer that question first and see if Pat provides some more information for us. Oh, here it is.
I
I
heard the
agree.
Dalai Lama said Indian philosophy believes in the Atma and the Tibetan Buddhism does not.
Okay. All right.
Maybe this could be for Lama Losang or someone. I don't even know what Atma mean, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the situation is, it comes out of the yogic tradition, out of Brahmanism, and that is where the separation has occurred. The Brahmins and the Vishaya, is it? That is the idea of, a supreme being. And the Buddha said that is not the way he sees it. It really wasn't an issue. We need to understand our own Buddha nature. So the difference here is we're not depending upon anything outside of us. And the Buddha realized his Buddha nature, under the Bodhi tree, those almost 2,600 years ago. And so he began a new teaching, that was different from the Brahmins, and he was really quite radical in that, and accepted everybody. There were different classes. There was the Brahmin class, and the Brahmins were the superior class, and then the Kshatras, or the ruling class of kings and the military, and then the shopkeepers, but there was a fourth class, the untouchables, but Buddha taught everyone, and that was considered very radical at the time. So that is, I don't know if that answers the question. If there's more to it than that, please,
Lama Karma, did you have anything to add?
No, not really. I even I listened to Lama Losang, so I not fully understand. So I think Lama understand what our question is. And thank you, Lama.
Yeah, and if I might, there's one other thing to add, and this is something you can learn about by reading the book Karma by Trulek Rinpoche. In Trulek Rinpoche's book on karma, he explains that Atman, the idea of a self or a soul, was part of Hindu philosophy. And the Buddha said upon his awakening, he said, that's not the way I experienced my mind. I experienced my mind as Buddha and as being beyond the idea of a material soul. And so in any case, hopefully this is helpful, and I appreciate the question. I see Pat is explaining that the Trika philosophy of Kashmir Shaivism posits a unity consciousness rather than dualistic philosophies. Oh yeah, well now you have gone past my studies.
Yeah, well, it was dualistic, so that is close to what the Buddha taught, but it was still different. But that is closer, the non-dual nature of one's being. But the Buddha nature was the main teaching of the Buddha. Then the third turning of the wheel, he really expanded that idea. And there's difference. It differs slightly from the sutric approach. But it is, so you're right about that.
Mm-hmm. I remember a while back that the whole idea of what's said here is the unity consciousness. I'll never forget. Someone asked Khenpo Urgyen Tenzin, are we all part of one big mind? Are we all part of one big mind, or do we have individual minds? And he said, we all have individual minds. And he said, the proof of this is the Buddha himself, because he said, if we were part of all one big mind, he said that when the Buddha got enlightened, everyone would have gotten enlightened.
You'll be enlightened. That's right. Yeah.
So we're all discrete individuals. And that we all have the potential to become Buddha. So I'm afraid that I'm not much of a philosopher.
The ultimate teaching of the Buddha in the second track of the wheel, the Mahayana perspective, we talk about the Buddha taught that all conditioned existence is identified by the three marks of existence. And those are impermanence, anicca, of all things, and suffering or dissatisfaction, dukkha, which we're all familiar with, and anatta, or egolessness. So, as you were saying, so there are no self. So that those are the three marks that apply to all conditioned things, and this is applicable to all schools of Buddhism.
Thank you, Lama. So let's see if there are any other questions in chat. Here's my question for the translators. Translators, do we have anyone that we need to translate for? I don't know that we do. I think we're
No,
okay.
not yet on my side.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, then we'll see if there are any other questions being put in the chat. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Okay, great. Pat is thanking, it says, thank you, respected wisdom keepers. I shall explore further. That's great. Now, Rosa says, Lama Losang expressed that he would have liked to have had more time in one of his classes to talk about Tonglen. I am a little familiar from a recording by Lama Kathy. Could we get a short description and important points that can help in our practice? So Lama Losang, it looks like this one's for you.
All right. Yes. So I think most of us are familiar with Tonglen. It's a major aspect of how we develop, our loving kindness and compassion for others. And it is really an important part of developing our compassionate mind. And that is done, it's a particular meditation that we do. And if you want, we can talk about that. So, the Buddha Bodhisattva Sutra says, give yourself to others, and contains stories of how the Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas in training, gave everything to benefit others. But, we're not asked to give blindly. We give out of the kindness of an open and loving heart. And to get the highest level of giving, we must first learn how to give, as we talked about in our discussion of the perfection of generosity. And we talked about the 6 perfections. So we make a habit of letting go and detaching from this self-clinging. And the main practice for developing this letting go is called Tonglen, an ancient form of meditation that focuses on compassion and connecting it, developing it, and learning how to apply it in everyday life. Sometimes it's called exchanging self for others. And the practice of Tonglen is very simple. We imagine that we are exhaling when we are sharing our happiness and love and health and compassion and their causes with everyone. And as we inhale, we imagine that we're taking away their suffering and the causes of those suffering in all its myriad forms. So while its roots are Buddhist, we see in recent years Tonglen meditation being taught in psychology and in a variety of the spiritual to therapeutic to secular kind of ways. This particular teaching that was taught by the Buddha, and its popularity is growing, and it's pretty good, and considering this me first society. For, as it turns out, the most powerful ways to be kind to yourself and to create the causes of happiness in the future is actually by developing strong intention. and motivation to help others. So people from all walks of life have found it beneficial. The word Tonglen is usually translated as sending and taking, so we're sending out all this positive energy and taking in the all of the suffering of beings. And the practice belongs to a great body of wisdom called Lojong. This is in Tibetan, Lo means mind and Zhong means training. So this is mind training. And the mind training is considered one of the most important teachings in Buddhism. And Tonglen is a special application of this mind training practice. So yeah, we can, I don't know how much more you want to go with that, but Lama Kathy has lots of experience with this Lojong training. So
And what I can say about it is that we will be covering it in detail, Rosa. We'll be covering it in detail in class 9, but I think this is a good amount to start with. And if you have access to to articles and so forth on the internet, I think that there's I'm trying to think of the best resource for that, but I'll noodle on that a bit. Yeah, Lama Tom.
In Dharma Paths, there's a whole section starting
yes,
on
there is.
starting on page 118, and it's a very, very simple explanation, and it's probably the best you can get.
Yes, we always refer to Dharma paths. It's a skillful means to cultivate bodhicitta, and learn how to be less self-centered and selfish. And our meditation trains our mind to be more loving and compassionate. So in addition to the intellectual of bodhicitta from the teachings, it's important to cultivate the experience directly, and following the exercises, will help give birth to bodhicitta, which is translated as the mind of enlightenment, which was what we're looking for.
That's great. Thanks for that, Lama Tom. Do you have anything to add, Lama Tom? For our questioner asking for what the questioner said, short description and important points. I think. Do you have anything to add?
Well, again, it's in Dharma Paths, and it's basically using the breath to exchange self for other. I could read what it says. Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche says it a lot better than I could say it.
Well, we'll see. I'll tell you what. Let's see what how the questions go, and if there's some time at the end, we'll do that. Yeah, because I think that's a good idea. We'll see if we can't make that happen at the end here. Jared has the next question, and it says, to go back to review the teachings that were recorded, how do we access these? Yunten, can you help us out?
There's a playlist on YouTube that should be available to everybody that has registered for the class. And I believe it was included in one of the emails on the class. If not, it would be on the class page that should have the link to from when you registered.
Yeah, Jared, hopefully this will be a good place for you to locate that. And I believe that link, if I remember correctly, is in every single email that the students receive, the link to the class page where the YouTube links and so forth are. So hopefully that will be also helpful. Okay. Next, let's see. Let's see. Pat is asking, could you put the link to a video I heard you make on the trait of feeling special or needing to feel important? Oh boy. A video you made on the trait of feeling special or needing to feel important. Boy, I tell you what, I do not know about that, because I'm not sure to what you're referring, Pat. I apologize. Because I've done a few different videos, and so I'm a little uncertain about that. Okay. Pat's also just posted a link, a YouTube link, so hopefully that will be helpful to folks. And thank you, Yunten, for linking the Dharma Paths book by Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche. I see. Yes, Jared is happy. So okay, good. Okay, very good. All right, we've got happy students. Okay. All right. Other questions that folks might have. Pat is saying the video was once listed on KTD, but I couldn't find it again. Oh, I wish I knew which teaching that was, Pat. I'm sorry.
I would like to add something related with Tonglen, because I
Yes.
want to make sure our more advanced teachers go first and comment on that. So there's the sutra, let's say Berochana text mentioned Rangulu la Pelon Yinla Nepa Majiji means the origin of Tonglen practice always starts with oneself, which means take yourself as an example and not to harm other sentient beings, because we all want to be happy and free from suffering. Therefore, using yourself as an example, you can see yourself, when you look in the mirror, you see yourself, or when you smile or laugh or etc. And so basically, we don't have to analyze what other people think. How I think, this is the copy of other all sentient beings. And realizing that we want to be happy and free from suffering, and we want to experience happiness and cause of happiness. So all sentient beings are equally, pursue that. And so that's why, when you take yourself as an example, and, throughout day or year, we always pursue that happiness. And then we also see that in other sentient beings. As the third Karmapa around the Doji mentioned that when you talk about Mahamudra realization, and if you have some kind of realization, a natural arise unbearable compassion to other sentient beings, witnessing that all other sentient beings, pursuing happiness and free from suffering. So based on that teaching, and then the practice of Tonglen or sending and receiving was taught. There, at the time of the Buddha, there was not like a particular term known as the Tonglen practice, but because the Buddhas, as he said in sutras, from the beginning to the end of my teaching is all about compassion. And so that, for the followers, later, like his son has come up and mentioned that at the beginning of the Buddha's teaching, there was no text. Nobody wrote down. And then we followers, a little bit less intelligent and then forgettable, and then they compile the Buddha's teaching. Likewise, then slowly Tonglen practice also compiled based on the the followers. And in Tonglen, there's a session. It says like, if you are happy, and then dedicate that happiness to all sentient beings, and if you are not happy or suffering, then you think of all other beings, or you are experiencing the suffering of all other sentient beings. This is not out of miserable, out of like in order to purify negative karma, but out of delightfulness. Because of your really understanding that how you want to be happy, and how other sentient beings want to be happy and free from suffering like yourself. So there's always joy when you do Tonglen practice, because your fear and your emotions overcome by compassion if you really understand the compassion. So I thought that's something I want to add.
Thank you, Lama Karma. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I remember one time hearing a quote that said, it was attributed to the Buddha, where he says something like, if you want to study my teaching, you do not have to study many teachings. You only need one teaching, right? Love and compassion. Whoever has the love and compassion has the qualities of the Buddha right close to them in the palm of their hand. I love that.
Yeah, so it says Chu Jik, there's only conscience at Hindu Chimbos. There's one Dharma in my teaching is sufficient. That is the great compassion. Hindu Chimbo. Whoa.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Well, we now have Pat has rephrased the question. Something it says to be saying to be in the present moment, meaning not thinking about the past teaching that was given. It says, what does Buddhism teach about needing to feel special? Oh, I don't know. Here's the only thing I can say about that. I'll lead off, and then anybody else can from the Lamas can join. I remember one of the first teachings that we got from Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche was that we all have the idea of I or me. We all have this automatically, this idea of I or me. We have it. And this is some confusion on our part because we have all these experiences in our mind and perceptions and so forth, and we think, oh, someone must be having these thoughts and perceptions. That must be me. And so our habit of having a me or an I is with us from the time we're babies, right? And if you believe in previous lives, it's from beginningless time until now we've had the idea of I or me. And so I think that that is a natural outgrowth of having an I, is wanting that I to be special and wanting to be liked and to be popular or all of that kind of stuff. We all want people to like us and we want to feel special. But I can't say too much more, except that the ego fixation, we sometimes have the thought, oh, I am the best one. I am the best one. And then sometimes we have the thought, oh, I am the best at being the worst one. So sometimes we think we're great and sometimes we think we're terrible. But both of them are ego fixation. And this is where the Buddha's teachings help us to understand through what Lama Karma just was quoting, that everybody is alike and that everybody wants to be happy and everybody wants to be special, right? So part of our compassion comes from knowing that people act the way they act and do what they do because they want to be happy. So that's that. I think that's something I can say to start. Do any of the lamas have something more to say?
This is related to Tonglen, which really is about minimizing, gradually uprooting these conflicting emotions of our self-clinging, and engages us physically and mentally and emotionally and verbally in developing tolerance and patience and compassion and loving kindness. Lama Tom mentioned, this part in Dharma Pass, and our teacher Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche in Dharma Pass explained it this way. He said, enlightened beings have reached enlightenment by working for the benefit of all sentient beings, and beings remain in samsara, or suffering, because working for themselves alone. So by letting go of selfishness, we work to benefit others rather than working merely to benefit ourselves. And this altruistic attitude is the source of, as we were saying, of our future happiness, which we all want. And we have to realize that there is no I to begin with. It's a fabrication that we make up and that we usually continually try to aggrandize and make real, but it is a fabrication. It does not exist.
Yeah, thank you, Lama Losang. Yeah, I know we have the idea that we exist, but it's I like the whole idea of it being a fiction.
Yeah, it's a fiction.
We
Made
have a
up.
lot of thoughts and we think somebody has to be having them. Right. Thank you. Other things people want to add here and the lamas want to add.
Yeah, back to the Tongling practice, I think I shared this story one time. I was with Kimber Buche in Hong Kong, and we were staying, of course, a very nice hotel. And so I was enjoying walking around. And the Rinpoche was looking through the window and weeping his, tear from his eyes. And I was like, window is not opened. Why Rinpoche weeping his tears? And I told Rinpoche, everything okay? He said, look. And I looked down, and he said, all these people going back and forth with carrying things and, rushing and look like ants, moving things. And everybody here, all of these, people, I mean, Hong Kong is very crowded and pursuing only happiness and free from suffering. And I was like, wow, we are talking about Tongling, but Rinpoche, this is what called mastered with the Tongling practice, compassion. He was, tears come from his eyes. And secondly, this to be in the present moment, what does Buddhism teach about needing to feel special? This is, what Lamas explained. I think I thought, first I thought, needing to be in present, what does Buddhism teach about needing to feel special? If we are talking about the meditation, being in present, and the Buddhism teaches, Buddhism teach about needing to feel special. That is the problem. We all want to be special. Even like meditation, right? Meditation, we always look for some kind of exciting in the meditation state of mind, which is so opposite of the actual presence of mind. As the great master Gampopa, Gampopa's teaching, any teaching he gave about Muhammad is so special, especially talk about, ordinary mind, which means ordinary mind has nothing to do with special, right? So we want to be special. It's because of the, we feeding our ego with anxiety. So if it's related with meditation, so that is what Buddha teach. Buddha teach that, the actual presence of mind, ordinary mind is so ordinary, it's just so ordinary. Just like a yogi that wears like a beggar clothes and sleep on street, so like forest, so eating whatever, but it's so realized. It looks so ordinary, but it's so extraordinary. That's, I thought that it's so funny. My understanding of English is a little different.
Right. Thank you, Lama Karma.
Oh,
I appreciate that.
It's not just for when you're sitting in meditation. It's also can be done as part of your life everywhere, wherever you go and whatever you're doing. And you can offer any activity for the benefit of others at work, at home, while eating, engaged in any activity. So, for example, when you're taking a walk, you can review this thought in your mind. May all beings experience happiness. And when you inhale, think, may all beings be relieved from suffering. And when you exhale, you can say, when I exhale, may I give others comfort and happiness. So, this becomes a natural expression of the mind of enlightenment. And we can train ourselves in such a way. And you can practice Tonglen with every breath you take, basically. So this attitude, takes time to develop as it goes against our old habits and tendencies, to think, as we were saying, about yourself and only ourselves and our own happiness. So this is the training of a bodhisattva and the essence, of the Mahayana path, certainly.
Yeah, Lama Tom?
Going back to what Pat was saying, what does Buddhism teach about needing to feel special? In one respect, you could say we're all special because we all possess what we call Buddha nature, which in this context simply means we all have the ability to wake up. And so while I'm special, Pat's special. We're all special in that sense, of course. And that does not contradict what's been said before. It's just a different perspective.
Thank you, Lama Tom. I appreciate that. And Pat has written in the chat these words: I feel very special having this golden opportunity to be amongst such learned lamas. Okay, well, Pat, based on what Lama Losang and Lama Tom and Lama Karma have just said, what you can do with that feeling is that you can rejoice and dedicate it and make the aspiration, may all beings have access to lamas, and may all beings have access to this feeling of happiness that I have right now, right? You know, because it's like what Lama Losang was saying, as you go through your day, you can think, may all my happiness be shared by everyone. So there you go. Let's see. I don't see any more questions. So what shall we do? We may have to resort to giving that Tonglen instruction. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see if there are any more questions. It's okay. It's okay if we finish before the allotted time, but I want to see if there's any more questions first.
On a mundane note, I think the answer to Pat's earlier question about the video that used to be on the KTD site and is no longer is probably that we had a policy for a while that that videos from classes would remain online for about a month after the class, and then they would go away.
That could be the reason that it appeared and disappeared, just like everything in samsara, right? Impermanent for a limited time. Well, I am not seeing the any other questions. So I am thinking that this might be this opportunity to say a couple of things about the classes that have already happened and the classes that are coming, and then we'll settle in for a little bit of a Tonglen instruction from Dharma Paths. Those of you who have attended the classes know that you're getting a basic training in some of the basics of Buddhism, the Four Noble Truths, and so on. And in the upcoming classes, you're going to be hearing about how to establish a daily Dharma practice. You're also going to be learning about the practice of taking refuge. You'll also be learning a little bit about Buddha nature, a little more about Buddha nature from Khenpo Sanjay, and then a little bit about mantra practice from Lama Rob, and then a little bit more about the compassion meditation practice, and I'll be teaching that as the final class. So then after that, there will be more classes. So you can watch the KTD website and the KTD newsletter for more information about the second level of Introduction to Buddhism classes, when we're starting to discuss them now. And we're going to talk more about the Triyanas and more about a little bit more about Vajrayana next time. So I hope you will be able to join us for that. Okay. Not seeing questions. Do the Lamas have anything they would like to share before we go to having a lesson on Tonglen?
Is Lama Tom going to do it from the Dharma Paths, or would you like me to do it? Okay. Very good. You're ready. Let's take it away.
Oh, okay. All right.
Would you like me to read from the dramatic reading here? Huh?
I know. Yeah. I tell you what, isn't it fun to be able to read Rinpoche's own words?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it such a blessing, you know? And Yeah, so we'll be happy to meditate with everyone.
So I'll just read what Rinpoche has said about sending and receiving. He said, in addition to gaining an intellectual understanding of bodhicitta from the teachings, it's important to have a practical experience of the practice of bodhicitta. To that end, there is a meditation practice called sending and receiving, Tong Lin, that can help you develop the enlightened attitude. When you do this short meditation, first set in the meditation posture, relaxing your body and sitting rather comfortably. Then breathe normally, following the natural course of your breath. Imagine that with the exhalation of your breath, whatever merit you have accumulated from beginningless time are accumulating now and will accumulate in the future time radiates toward all sentient beings. Just as when the sun shines, the rays of light radiate towards all places, so with your exhalation, these positive qualities radiate, bringing happiness, well-being, comfort, and health, longevity to all beings without discrimination. Then when you inhale, imagine that you are inhaling all the suffering, confusion, sickness, turmoil, and conflict of sentient beings. All the suffering and turmoil of sentient beings merges with you. And this uproots the suffering and confusion of sentient beings. Because of the strength of bodhicitta, the power of your sincere attitude of wanting to benefit beings, as soon as the suffering merges with you, it dissolves with nothing into nothing and disappears. It is just as if you had collected some dust together into a little pile and a strong wind blew it away. Inhaling and exhaling in this way, meditate for a short time. Then Rinpoche goes on to say, after you have meditated in this way for a short while, let go of the mental focus and let your mind rest in a state of awareness. Attempt to have the sense that there are no sentient beings to meditate on. There are no persons meditating, and there is no act of meditation taking place. Try to transcend these three, which are relative, and give birth to something ultimate, something effortless and spontaneous, like the arising and disappearing of clouds in the sky. Just remain in a state of clarity. There is no act, no thought of doing something outside or inside. No you doing something. Just cut off all of that and remain in a state of awareness. And so that was Rinpoche's teaching.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us, Lama Tom. I appreciate that.
Thanks for the opportunity.
I think I can say one thing about that, and that's Khenpo Rinpoche's teaching on Tonglen is so special. And when I rediscovered it some time ago, I've pretty much 100% taught out of the book from ever since, because it's just, it does feel like there's a lot of blessing on that, and it allows people to join the practice in a way that's easy for them to understand and easy for them to do. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, well, I'm sorry to say we had a very short session tonight, but I am going to give everybody a chance, one more chance to see if there's any questions. And I'll also ask the Lamas if they have anything else they would like to say this evening. Okay, don't see questions. So if anybody would like, any of the Lamas would like to say something in conclusion, feel welcome to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to know how those people who are here, how they experienced the teaching so far, and how that was for them, and anything else that they would like to add or see done.
That's a really good thing, Lama Losang, because if there's something that they haven't heard yet, that they would like to learn more about, they can just type that into the chat. Great idea.
But I thank all of you, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join this Dharma Path teaching, and there's more to come. And this is part one of at least, there will be more. So, we're very fortunate to have this opportunity. I feel fortunate to be part of the teaching team, but I hope that you will help promote this as well, and we can develop this ongoing teaching for the benefit of all. And my heartfelt thanks to all of you who have participated in this thus far.
So it
Ooh.
says, Lama, there are some
Feedback. Yeah. It says feedback. When the teachers are doing screen share, I think you have the option to make the screen share full screen size so it is easier to see. Okay. That's a very good suggestion from Pat. Because I remember when I was teaching, yeah, we did that. I was able to do that. And I don't think there's any way to make it giant, but that's good.
And also Pat says, thank you very much. The classes are very special.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, yeah, right. Thank you. All right. Jared is saying wonderful classes, learned a lot, and from so many great Lamas. Yay. That's what we wanted to provide. We wanted there to be 10 classes and 10 teachers, and we did it. And it's still ongoing. So we wanted to give everybody a chance to teach. So thanks for that comment. Okay. It looks like the comments are done. Okay. So any last words from anyone? Okay. Well, then I guess from the moderator's seat, I can say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, to everyone for being here this evening, and even though they didn't ask for this, I want to also say a special thank you to our translators, Lama Mark and Angelica, for being here this evening. And just in case we had some non-English speakers here to help with that. And thank you for facilitating the Dharma learning by these folks. And also want to thank you. I see that Yeshe is here. Hello. Tsuma Yeshe, thank you for being here. Karma De Chen Ling down south. And thank you so much. And then, of course, Yunten, the host with the most. So we appreciate you being here also. We can dedicate the goodness of this session to all suffering beings, of which there are so many in the world right now, making the aspiration that these teachings of the Buddha benefit all sentient beings and they all become Buddhas. So thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah. And stay tuned because we'll have more Q&A later in the class. So
Thank you, Lamas, everybody.
okay, Omane Peme Hon. Okay, thank you, Rosa.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.